While Wall Street does not like Intel at the moment, I'm currently placing my bets against Wall Street. No, I'm not a betting man now that I've been to Vegas. I've been betting on Intel's rebound for quite a while. Of course, the performance of Intel this year has not been great at all. It's down 32%, and even in the last 3 years, it's down 35%. Yes, over the last month, you did have a smaller rebound of 8.3%, but to be honest, I still think Intel has a long way to go. Of course, the most important part here is the execution. Intel is still a giant and a very important company, not just for the semiconductor industry, but for the world as a whole, for the US economy, for the European economy. And so I really think that Intel right now at a market cap of $142 billion, that's less than AMD, for example, despite generating over $50 billion in revenue this year and expecting to generate $62.6 billion in fiscal year 2025 and $68.5 billion in fiscal year 2026. Yes, it's true that Intel, from a free cash flow perspective, from margin perspective, earnings, all of that, it did definitely take a hit because of the huge turnaround, because of the huge investments in Intel Foundry. And that's one of the main reasons why I'm very much bullish on Intel. That's because of the Foundry business. I think if the Foundry business does not succeed, then of course my investment in Intel will not be a good one. Now, for now, because of that investment in the Foundry business, you're seeing EPS taking a hit. This year, EPS only growing, or the expectations are for it to only grow 4.6%. But then next year, growth close to 80%, then another 30% in fiscal year 2026. This means that you're paying around 13 times EPS 2026. Right now, you're paying 26.4 times forward PE. If we're looking at the current analyst price target, it sits 16.3% higher than the price we're at today. And we actually had a little drop here at the start of July from $40. Of course, upcoming earnings report beginning of August, more specifically August 1st. Let's hope to get a bit more positive commentary for the second half of the year. Guidance was pretty weak for the quarter, so hopefully they can beat that as well. Now, I do want to touch on a couple of things with regards to Intel, an analyst update, and the PC market as a whole. If you enjoy this type of videos, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe if not. We're on our way to reach 50,000 subscribers. So if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Would really appreciate that. If you want to support me even further, do check out the link down in the description and in the pinned comment with the top 10 best stocks to buy now, or go to fool.com/couchinvestor. Thank you very much. Now, before starting, I want to show you again the difference between x86 desktop market share, Intel and AMD. It's pretty clear that AMD has been taking some market share, especially going from Q4 to Q1. And so Intel has lost some market share there. If we look at the mobile one, here it's a bit different. Here you can see that quarter over quarter, Intel did take some market share. AMD lost a little bit. But yes, so far, Intel still dominates when it comes to market share. From the desktop part, 76.1%, AMD 23.9%. But I mean, it's pretty crazy when you look back here, 2016, AMD just 9.1% and Intel had just over 90%. Now, a bit of a different story. Intel still dominating, but much less. And so let's continue here. Let's start with the bullish commentary from an analyst at Milius Research for Intel. So the analyst identified Intel as a strong potential player in the AI space for the latter half of 2024. The analysis comes after significant growth in valuation for other leading AI companies like NVIDIA. The analyst believes Intel's technology has the potential to deliver wins in the AI market. Specifically, sees Microsoft's new Recall AI feature as a potential driver of demand for Intel's upcoming Neural Lake CPU line for PCs and mobile devices. The Recall feature allows users to easily restore previous data states, potentially creating a need for powerful processors like those in the Lunar Lake line, expected to launch later this year or early 2025. I've been saying this for a while. AI PCs, AI phones, all of that will drive demand for more chips coming from AMD, Intel, and even Qualcomm. Reason number 2 why we've seen some positive movements in Intel stock is because of the GPU. Not something Intel is known for, but apparently reports resurfaced suggesting Intel is preparing to launch a new GPU called Battlemage. I mean, we've heard that before. Now, it's only a matter of when this will go out. This GPU is specifically designed for the PC gaming market and is expected to utilize TSMC's cutting-edge 4nm production process. While the Battlemage targets the gaming market rather than the AI-focused data center market, investors appear optimistic about Intel's effort to expand its presence in the GPU space with this upcoming release expected in 2025. I believe if you're a gamer, if you're looking to buy a gaming PC, laptop, doesn't matter, you're definitely very excited to see some competition for AMD and Nvidia when it comes to GPUs because things are getting way too expensive. Hopefully, Intel is competitive on price but also on performance. Then I want to touch on the biggest subject here. I'm going to make a separate video about the whole foundry, Intel foundry thing, because I do think that this is one of the most interesting parts of the business and is going to be very, very crucial for Intel's future. So there was an event more recently, and one of the things that were mentioned there, and I think that was what caught my eye, is this. If you're in the foundry business, your customers will make you better. Intel previously, as we've seen, was dominating the CPU market. Then it basically lost focus. AMD caught up to them. AMD also ditched the whole make my own chips and focused on what they're good at. Intel continued to do what it did, continued to pay out dividends, continued to buy back shares even though the shares were pretty expensive, and did not really focus on the future. This is when AMD basically took over. Although, as we've seen, the market share is still a big difference, but AMD definitely took a lot of market share in the last 8 years or so. And so, foundry business, system foundry is of extreme importance for the future of Intel. So there was this slide delivering the present and inventing the future. So you start with a base world-class foundry offering. On top of that, you've got a resilient, sustainable supply. And on top of that, system of chips. Now, of course, the quote, if you're in the foundry business, your customers will make you better. Why is that important? Well, because Intel now becomes a more open company. Instead of being a closed ecosystem, a closed company that only looks at what Intel knows and what Intel can do. Now, as we've talked previously, Intel is opening up. Intel is partnering up with plenty of other companies in the semiconductor ecosystem. And that's going to be very, very important. As it says here, your customers will make you better because you're not taking all of the load on your shoulders, on your back. No, you're working with customers that are experts in their field. They're working with you, making the whole ecosystem much better, moving faster because you're going to have to be a fast mover in the AI space. Now, during the presentation at DAC, Gary Patton was talking about Intel, was talking about the AI space, data and stuff like that. More specifically, the world generates an enormous amount of data, around 270,000 petabytes daily according to IDC. By 2030, Intel predicts immense computing power and data accessibility between 1 petaflop and 1 petabyte within 1 milliseconds of users. Despite innovation beyond Moore's law, scaling is necessary to achieve these advancements. AI, while driving data growth, also creates significant energy efficiency challenges, potentially consuming the electricity of an entire country. Overcoming limitations like the planar device limit requires a combination of chiplet implementation, denser packaging interconnects, and improved energy efficiency. Intel's System Foundry initiative positions them at the forefront of these innovations. And so we've got this slide right here. Their advanced packaging work promises a 50x improvement in energy efficiency and a 10,000x improvement in interconnect density. Of course, execution here is key. And so what has Intel done in the last couple of years? Well, foundry readiness, a 5-year investment. So they doubled the size of design enablement organization, alignment to industry standard methodologies, open and collaborative relationships, quality first culture, strong customer support team, and methodology. And this, I believe, is getting overlooked by the stock market. Maybe not by the industry because, well, those that are working in the industry probably know very well what Intel is trying to do and what Intel is doing right now. But Wall Street, of course, now is looking at Intel, is looking at the P&L and not seeing anything to get excited by, which is fine. I can see where they're coming from, especially since we're now getting, well, the P&L for the Intel Foundry. And let's be honest, it does not look very, very good right now. But if you look at what TSMC is reporting, what a great foundry is reporting, then you can maybe guess what Intel could do in the future. Intel will try or expects to be the number 2 by 2030, so behind TSMC. And by the way, previously, Intel did not use TSMC's technology. They were reluctant to use TSMC technology, but now they noticed, look, we do not want to be behind anymore, so we're going to use TSMC right now. We're also going to work with our own foundry, but Intel is not stupid anymore, or at least has put his ego on the side. That doesn't mean that Intel's foundry might never surpass TSMC in the future, but I do think this is going to be a decade-long story and not just a couple of years. If they truly reach their goal 2030 number 2, then I do think that the current valuation, the current market cap at just under $150 billion is going to be looked at as a joke. Again, like I said, execution is key because this is not software based, this is hardware mixed with software, and semiconductors, chip design, manufacturing, all of that will take time. That's why they're saying here a 5-year investment. Yes, we're coming towards the end of that 5-year period that Pat has been talking about, but we're also entering the second half of this decade where their bigger goal could be achieved. Do not sleep on Intel. I know all the attention is going towards the NVIDIAs, the AMDs, even now the Qualcomms, ASMLs and all of that of the semiconductor industry. Rightfully so, because they've been doing the right thing. Intel has been left behind because of their own issues. Previous management was just not that great, not keeping up with what is happening in the world, what is happening in the industry, and so they were left behind. I do think that Pat is the right captain to right this ship. And so right now we did have a small recovery in the last couple of months. As you can see from the bottom here in early May at around $30, RSI was also oversold on the weekly. We did make now our way back up over the 20 and the 50-day moving average. CPI report came also better than expected, which might be a positive, but also a negative, because then it means that the economy might be slowing down, but it's always good to see that inflation is slowing down as well. The 200-day moving average sits at $36.37. But like I said, August 1st earnings report, that's probably what's going to move the stock up or down. And so that will be it for this video right now. I still believe Intel can turn this ship around. I still believe that Intel is cheap right now, although from valuation perspective, might not look cheap, but I do think that the turnaround will happen sooner rather than later. I might be completely wrong. You can have another opinion. Do leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you enjoy this type of videos, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.